All right, here we go. This is another episode of The Voice of Our Generation. My name is Eugene, and on this platform, we will have different voices coming in, sharing different points of view, different thoughts across different generations. So it's going to be a safe space where any one of you who have certain strong feelings about a particular topic and you want to talk about that, this is the place to air your discussion, air your views rather. For today, I want to talk about the latest NOC saga. It has overtaken the country's number one source of entertainment since Squid Game. And just in case you have not been following up on social media, NOC stands for Night Owl Cinematics, one of the oldest YouTube company, content creators, creating great content that we have enjoyed over the last decade. Started off with a couple, 22 years old. They got married at the age of 21, Sylvia and Ryan. They're running the business for 10 years. And in 2018, I believe, they got a divorce, and shit just hit the fan recently, as recent as 3 weeks ago. When you look at the allegations that leaked out 3 weeks ago, and then you look at the 2-hour silence broken by Sylvia Chan on Xia Xue's platform, and start joining the dots together, you begin to see a different picture from just a one-sided point of view. Initially, when the first leak happened, was all about Sylvia calling somebody a fuckface. That in itself, from my generation, is no big deal. I've been called different names at work, at school. That being called names is not offensive anymore to people of my generation. But of course, there were a lot of millennials working at NOC, and being called names is a no-no, right? And also in today's cancel culture, what happens is, if I'm not happy with my boss or I'm not happy with somebody, I don't just walk away. I band with other people to agree with me on social media, and I take you down. That's what cancel culture is about. Personally, I think that's very cancerous. You can no longer have a different opinion, because if you run a business or you're a person of power, you have more to lose. The peasants, the peons, the people below you can band together and bring you down. That is the culture today. Whether that's right or wrong, whether that's good or bad, I think that has a lot of room for discussion. My takeaway is, my era, when I was growing up and working, if my boss is an asshole, I suck it up and deal with it, because that's who's paying my salary, or I just leave the company. I don't have to look back and try to smear campaign him. But then there's another layer to this discussion as well. Now the question is, this attack on Sylvia sounds very personal, and it's all speculation right now, of course. Was the ex-husband behind this? And that was what was suggested. It sounds possible. Now let us peel the layer and see if that rabbit hole goes deeper than just a bunch of young people unhappy with the word fuckface and went on a cancel culture. Now, in order to find out the core of this issue, let's take a look at some of the points that was brought up on both sides. I'm talking about just the business aspects, not the who blow who slept with who, sort of juicy gossip portion. Let's just go down to the business. What was said as well, and what was also shown in the last few years, was Ryan has always been the people's person. He cannot take criticism. He wants to be well loved. He's spending money on his crew, his staff, and he's the good guy. Sylvia, in her position as a business development director, someone who deals with business, she has her mind constantly on money. And I've been in a position where I'm both an artist as well as a CEO, and it's very hard to wear both hats. On one hand, you want to do things for passion, you want to do things for love, you got a great idea, you want to run out and create something. On the other end, you have to ask yourself, does that make money? It's fun, but does that make money? And many times when you're sitting in a boardroom, in a group of people who are creative, the CEO has got to be the one who is the asshole, who's going to ask the hard questions. But business have got to run on money, right? Not on love and fresh air. And at NOC level, they have really gone past doing project of passion. Now they are at 15 headcount and they have to pay salary. They can no longer do things just for fun. And therein lies that differences. And I believe when it comes to a couple falling out, when a divorce has to be on the table, there's a lot more damage than you and I would know on the surface. at least emotionally and psychologically, there's going to be a lot more damage, and definitely a lot more plotting going on, because it's very personal now. But obviously, from the social media angle, again, when they were divorced, they even did a content out of it. It sounded very amicable. Even after the divorce, they came back, they did shows. I'm like, okay, that's a very cool, amicable divorce. Maybe that's how the young people do it, But then again, now we see the cracks are surfacing. Now, looking at just the business aspect, some of the facts that came out. Sylvia holds a higher share than Ryan, and she asked for that share only upon the divorce, because previously she was just working for, she's the wife, right, of the founder, and she's happily doing that. But as a divorce, after the divorce, what do you get out of it? She's asking for 51%, of which she got it, but her control of the company was an illusion, and she received no dividends either. The ultimate control still lies with Ryan. And I've been in a position before where I signed a contract when investors took over, and there was this line there that says, I can't remember the exact wording, but what it meant was, I may have the highest shareholder, but I require the agreement and the consensus of the two other shareholders in order to make a decision. Effectively, my hands are bound by the whims and fancy of my two investors and shareholders, who ultimately, as I discovered, had ulterior motives about siphoning money out of the company and running the company to the ground. But then already lies that line. I cannot make any decision because I have to get their go-ahead. And as long as they say no to any good ideas, that's done. And I believe Sylvia 51% is like that as well, because she got locked out of her own account as a CEO. She couldn't see the books as a CEO. To me, that is... What's the position then? Can you then fire the accountant? What is the power you have as a 51% shareholder and a CEO? Very dubious. Probably more by name than anything else. On the topic about working late, I think that's kind of divided. As a CEO and a boss that stays in the company just upstairs, you'll be working 24/7. And when you see the young people not working as hard as you, not working as hard, period, you get kind of miffed. And this is a company that you have spent your entire life building for the last 10 years. And she started out at the age of 22, which means she was a millennial of her era. And she burned the hours, she put in the effort, and only to see younger people complaining and whining about, working long hours, but still wanting the fame and fortune. And then here comes your partner, your director, your husband, supporting that work culture and that mindset. So I think that is a big gap between expectations here. Now, can you really run a profitable, successful company by having a very laissez-faire, work-life balance attitude? Personally, I cannot subscribe to that. I do not know how. Perhaps there are companies out there who are successful doing that. I don't know how to do that. I've been toiling and working, and then when I hear people say, oh, I want to be a boss of a company, but I want work-life balance. I'm married now with a kid, and I try to have work-life balance. Work takes a hit. Productivity takes a hit. I'm tired as hell. The times I want to have meetings, I want to be productive, I can't, because I have to have work-life balance. So I think coming from a perspective of being an entrepreneur and fighting so hard, and now seeing people who want the same level of fame being ungrateful, I think that kind of irks her a bit. And when you are pissed off and you're upset in a position and you shut off your mouth, and when it's taken out of context on the internet, you just look like the villain. But I think the worst thing that could happen, and this is where the waters really get muddy. Ryan setting up a company using NOC's resources and then asking to backdate his resignation. That is very, very sus. And to take Renault King, which was an asset of NOC, out as a standalone private limited company and poaching everyone from the team over to his side because he's a nice guy, of course, and he offers to pay. That, on a legal level, that's fucked up. That, no matter what you can say about he said, she said, between their differences in character, I'm looking purely on a corporate level. That's a breach of fiduciary duties as a director. You cannot. It's a lawsuit waiting to happen. And that's why he understood it. Maybe he did it by mistake, because these are two young entrepreneurs. They were doing things the best they can, and they got their huge success, also perhaps by chance and mix of hard work. But I don't believe they understood the weight of what being a director is, the weight of doing a business, the gravity of it. And then when he does something like that, thinking it's A-okay, only to realize later on that there is a breach of your director's duties and is a massive lawsuit waiting to happen, you're now asking to backdate and to resign. And when you don't get that, and he hasn't gotten that, that's when all the leaks happen, because you want to discredit your partner, you want to bring the company down, you want to buy her out to save yourself. Because he's obviously charging a very high price now, a premium on his share for Sylvia to buy him out, and there's no way she could. So the next play is crash the company, scorch earth the entire thing that they built, so that he do not get into a legal situation. Or perhaps the relationship between them has gone to a place where it's so toxic that all you're trying to do is just hurt each other. Either way, it's very sad. So again, this whole video was not meant to be a juicy gossip session about who's right and who's wrong. I'm just looking at what seems to be the core of the problem. So looking at the sum of all parts, I say that as a person having run a business for 2 decades, looking at both sides of the fence, I've done takeovers, I've done reverse takeovers. This really smells, this entire saga, this character assassination. It's not about the F word. It's not about being a bad boss. It really is about a business, a corporate sabotage. I feel that Ryan wants back the business without Sylvia in it. They want to split ways, and this is where they're splitting hair. And how he goes about it, having this whole cancel culture movement, I'm not down with that. I'm not down with that at all. I believe there's a lot of times you should do things behind the scenes. Keep a strong facade. Be a united front. Because now, having your own company isn't going to make you look good either, bro. You know, people's going to look at you and it's going to be a he said, she said. Nobody wins in a war like that. Nobody wins. Keep the fight away. Keep the fight corporate. Have an out of court settlement and walk away. It is more taxing mentally and psychologically to go through this kind of fight and be extremely unproductive at work than to just settle it and focus on the future and make the money forward. You can have both NOC, you can have that, you can buy into each other's share. There's so many ways to go around about it. I just don't think this cancel culture approach is the right way of doing it. But then again, they are 33, they only had their first business. What the hell was I learning and doing at 33? I learned so much in that 20 years of business that I know if I look back now, obviously I can sit here and have the wisdom of the past. But back then, it was the best idea. Back then, it was the young blood in me. It's so fiery, wanting to do everything I can. So this is not too late between Ryan and Sylvia or NOC. There's so much room to grow, so much room to learn from this, start a new company. It's not too late. It's only 33. So, and I think young people should fail. That's the only way to learn. I don't believe that anyone can go through life never failing, never go through a hardship. But I like to think with a positive mind that Sylvia, I don't know about Ryan, looking at his personality type, I don't think he will improve from this. But I believe Sylvia will come up a lot stronger. Okay, so that's it. That's all I have for you from the voice of our generation. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this. I'm sure you have your say. I want to hear what you have to say as well. I promise this is going to be a safe place to have a discussion. Let us not call each other names. We can agree to disagree. I just want to hear from your point of view what you think. Whether the points I say make sense, or you think you have a counter to that, or maybe there's some things I didn't see and you want to add on to it. Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time.